are the manuscripts which we have, which form the basis of the Bible, are they reliable? Hasn't the Bible been changed? You know, didn't different groups of people come along and in the margins of the text cross things out and insert their own ideas and somehow try and influence the message of the scriptures? Are the documents actually reliable? Well, I think probably one of the most important things to grasp when we're talking about this, particularly with reference to the New Testament, is the vast numbers of documents which we are dealing with. So we have around more than 5,300 known Greek manuscripts of the New Testament. When you add to that 10,000 Latin manuscripts and 9,300 early portions of the New Testament, early other portions, we have thousands, literally thousands of pieces of manuscript that are early copies of the New Testament. And no other document from antiquity approaches this, just in terms of sheer numbers. To give you an idea of this, the nearest book that comes close to this is Homer's Iliad. I don't know if you had to study classics at school, but if you did, like me, you would have had the joy of reading Homer's Iliad. And it's extremely long and quite difficult. Now, Homer, writing as a great Greek writer, and as an incredibly famous, important writer that you would think would be preserved in huge numbers, what we have in comparison with the near 24,000 manuscripts of the New Testament is 634 manuscripts. And the first complete text of Homer's Iliad dates from the 13th century, a huge time lag between when it was originally written and when we have an existent copy. One scholar called John Warwick Montgomery comments, to be sceptical of the resultant text of the New Testament books is to allow all of classical antiquity to slip into obscurity, for no documents of the ancient period are as well attested bibliographically as the New Testament. Or as F.F. Bruce wrote, there is no body of ancient literature in the world which enjoys such a wealth of good textual attestation as the New Testament. See, what's being said here is if you reject the New Testament on the basis of the manuscript tradition, if you reject the reliability of the New Testament as we have it, just the text, not even talking about whether what it actually says is true, talking about whether what we have is actually what was originally written, if you reject that, you lose all of classical antiquity if you apply the same rules to other texts. In fact, the New Testament stands up to this scrutiny extremely well. Well, what about the Old Testament? Well, when it comes to the Old Testament, we don't have the same abundance of close manuscripts. In fact, before the Dead Sea Scrolls discovery, the oldest complete Hebrew manuscript was dated from around 900 AD. And that made a time lag of about 1,300 years from the time that the Old Testament was completed and the time of a manuscript which we actually could hold and look at and read in our hands. Quite a long time lag. However, with the discoveries at Qumran, this all changed. And we now have Old Testament documents which date to before the time of Christ, which is truly wonderful and amazing.